Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Eh, Selamat bertemu lagi di dalam kelas akuntansi keuangan menengah 1. This is our meeting. We are now in chapter 17. Chapter 17 is about accounting for investment. Here you can see that there are 4 objectives of this chapter. There are um, a moment please. There are first that you be able to describe the accounting for debt investment, and then explain the accounting for equity investment. The third one is that you will be able to explain the equity method of accounting for investment and evaluate other major issues. So in this meeting, we will only discuss this topic. The topic number 1, that is on the accounting for debt investment only. And the next meeting will be on the other 3 topics. So let us move to this preview. So there are 3 sub section of this chapter. So this is that we will discuss in this meeting. There is about debt investment. So debt investment is one of the financial assets that a company will have. There are 2 types of financial asset. First one is debt investment, investasi dalam bentuk surat hutang, and the second one is equity investment or investasi dalam bentuk surat saham dari perusahaan lain. So when you normally when you have investment or when you want to invest, there are 2 motives that you may have. First one that is to earn a high rate of return. So to have a high rate of return, it means that if today you bought, for example, debt or bond from a corporation, let's say Coca-Cola company, today you will expect that the price, harga saham, the price of the bonds will be increased during your holding of this debt. So you expect the price will be high, and when the price is good, for example like here, when the price is good, this is here today T0 and this is T1. When you are in T1, ketika ada di T1 dan harganya naik bonds, so the price when the price is good, you sell the bond. So when you sell the bond, you will earn some return. This is what they call what they mean by to earn a high rate of return. And the second one, the motivation is to secure certain operating or financial arrangement with another company. Especially it is when you hold equity securities. So you need to remember that when we have investment, whether it is in debt or in equity, it means if this is a statement of financial position, and this side is the assets. So debt investment and equity investment belongs to your assets. So don't mix it with the debt here and the equity here. If you had debt here, it means that you owe some money to somebody else. or if you have equity here, it means that this is your equity. But if you have investment, it means you own someone's or some corporation, some other corporation's assets or financial instrument in your company. Okay, so we are moving to that investment. So when you acquire, ketika Anda membeli financial assets, when you acquire some financial asset, there are two criteria that may fit your business model. Sorry. For example, the first criteria, what is the question that you may ask is, what is the company's business model for managing the financial asset? It means what is your motivation to own the assets? What is your motive to own the assets? When you have a bond, you bought a bond from a certain company in T0, in time zero, and the when the maturity is in time 1, let's say no, not time 1, time 2, uh, what is your motive to hold the bonds? Is there any chance that you will, during the holding, whether you want to sell it when the price is right or the price is wrong? The price could be wrong. It means the price go down. Or second one, whether you will hold until it matures. Will you hold it? So the motive, your motivation to hold the bond or to hold the assets, the equity, will fit your business model for managing its financial assets. So the accounting for assets or debt, for example, here in this case, uh, your motivation, whether you want to sell when the price is good or when the price is down, or when you want to hold it, will affect the accounting. So it will affect the accounting of the investment. The accounting will be affected. And the second one, the criteria that you need to make it certain that what are the contractual cash flows characteristic of the financial investment. It means that if you want to, if you bought a bond, for example, if you bought the bond, there are two types, two type of cash flow. The first one is the interest, and the second one will be the principal. So the interest will be flow to your company, could be annually or semi-annually. So you need to know what is the contractual cash flow characteristic of your financial investment. And then here, this one are the classification and measurement of financial assets. These are the summary. Um, this is the summary, but we will discuss it more in this chapter and in this meeting. So if it is that, and the assessment criteria first, whether it meet business model, there are two types possibility of the business model. First one is held for collection. It means that you wait until it mature. So if it is the debt is the motive is to hold it for collection, and you will use the measurement method will be amortization or based on amortized cost. But if it is not meet your business model, could be trading or could help for collection and then you selling, yeah, then you will use fair value accounting. If it is equity, it will use fair value, unless for some equity investment, if investor exercise some control over the investee, it will use equity method. So again, there are two possibilities for the motive of your holding the debt. First one is to hold it for collection. It means that you will never sell the debt from T0 to T1 until it is mature. So you hold it until it is mature. And then if you use this, if the motive is like this one, wait until it is mature, and then the accounting uh, technique will be, or the accounting for this that investment will be based on amortized cost. But if you if the motive you want to sell it, whether when the price is high or when the price is low, and then you must use fair value accounting method for that investment. So the debt investment is characterized by a contractual payment on specific dates of principal payment and then interest. So as you know that when we have debt, for example, this one, let's say 3 years, this is year 1, this one is year 2, and this one is year 3. Every year you will have income in the form of interest. So interest in year 1, it could be interest in year 2 at the end of the year 2, and the interest that you will receive in the end of year 3. At the end of the year 3, let's say this is the end of the bond, you will also receive some principal payment. So this is the characteristic of a debt investment. In our accounting standard, there are 3 categories for debt investment. First one, debt investment that is held for collection. It means that you don't have intention to sell the bond whether the price is high or the price is low. You do not want to sell it, but the only motive is just to have the interest, the payment of the interest, and the payment of principal payment. So this is the one that we call it held for collection. And the second one, what it is called held for collection and selling. It means that your motive could, at the end, at the beginning, your motive could be held for collection, but uh, later, during the possession of this bond, let's say the bond is has 3 years, but sorry, year 2, this is year 3. Let's say you buy the bond, but during the possession, let's say at the middle of year 2, you decide to sell the bond. And the intention, the earlier intention was not to sell it, to sell the bond, but to hold it until the end of the the year 3, but you decide to sell it in the middle of your position. And the third one is the investment that you bought because you want to trade the bond. So this one, from the beginning of the possession of the bond or the acquisition of the bond, your motive is to sell when the price is high. Okay? So you want to sell it when the price is good or the price is high. So the return will be, your return will be uh, counted like P, the price in time 2 minus the price in time 1. So this is your return. If you have this motive, your return is the I, the interest rate. So this is your return. The correct one is one is divided by P1. So this is the return if your motive is trading, and this one is if your motive is held for collection. This is the other illustration here. If it is categorized as for collection, and the accounting will be amortized cost-based accounting, no unrealized gain or losses will be recognized, and the income will be interest when it is earned, gain and losses when you sell the bond. But here, this is the other extreme. If it is trading securities, the accounting is based on, or the valuation is based on its fair value. So when you recognize in net income any unrealized gains or losses, we will discuss it later. And the other income that the company will have is the interest when it is earned, and gains and losses from the sale. In the middle, if it is held for collection and selling, so it is between held for collection through held for collection and through trading. There is the other classification. So the accounting will be using fair value. What about the unrealized gain or losses? It will be recognized as other comprehensive income. So you must notice this. This is OCI, or other comprehensive income. You will hear OCI terminology during your study in accounting, and as a separate component of equity. So we will go to equity side. So other income will be the same as for the three of them. This is an example. Robinson, a company, purchased 100,000 euros of 8% bonds of Evermaster on January 2019. So January 1, the Robinson purchased a bond. The bond has par value of 100,000. The purchase was at a discount, so the Robinson only pay 92,270 euro for the bond that has face value of 100,000, and the bond matured in January 2024. So let's say here 2023. So here it is mature here in January 1, 2024. 2024. So this is 2019. Interest is payable each July 1 and January 1, so twice a year. So Robinson, remember the Robinson who bought the assets, the investment is the asset, so he bought the assets, so it will record that they have investment in the form of that as and recorded as much as 92,278 euros in January 1, 2019. So you see that the accounting, the the record is below 100,000. You can see that the face value is 100,000, but Robinson only recorded 92,000. This one, it means that it is because that they bought it at a discount. Then, sorry. And then it pays some cash of also 92,000. This is the table of amortization. First, look at this dates. This is January 1, where it bought the bond. So the carrying amount of the bond at this date was 92. Let me use this one. 92,278 on this date. And then later, and at July 1, you can see here, July 1, Robinson received some cash because of its possession of as much as 4,000 euros. So this 4,000 euros comes from this interest rate, that is 8%, and a 6 month out of 12 months times 100,000 of the face value of the bond. So it received 4,000. The receipt of the 4,000 will be equal during the possession of the bond. So you can see here that the cash received every semester, every 6 months is as much as 4,000. But here, the column here is the interest revenue. The interest revenue here is based on the market rate of the interest of the bond, market rate, not the face bond rate. This is 8% is the bond rate. This is market rate 10%. So the explanation here, we have yield here of 10%. So you must consult your book to see this 10%. So 10% out of 92,000 times 6 out of 12, or half year, it equals to 4,614. And then here, this is the amortization discount of the bond as much as 614. It is equals to 4,600 minus 4,000. So 4,600 minus 4,000, it equals to 614. So 614 will be added back into the carrying amount of the bond. So here in accounting, we will add this 604,000 on July 1 of 2019. So every 6 months, you can see here, every 6 months we will add more to the debt investment. Sorry, debt investment. So every 6 months, 677, and then it goes until 952. So at the end of year, at the end of the bond, the debt investment will be equal to 100,000. It equals to this number. So this table is very important for us to record our valuation of our bond. So sorry, this is the record on the first semi-annual interest. Sorry, semi-annual interest payment on July 1, 2014. 2019. Cash received is 4,000 here, and then debt investment will edit as many as 614. We look at here, and interest revenue is accrued as much as 4,614. So this is the the account. I want you to remember again that you need to have a T account as a control for your book, for your record. Okay, so make yourself accustomed to this T account. Biasakan untuk menggunakan T account ini untuk mengontrol pencatatan Anda ketika Anda berlatih. Okay, this is the accounting record on December 31. Remember, this is at the end of the year. So because it is the end of the year, you have to accrue. Anda harus mencatat some interest. You have to accrue some interest because it is already your income, but it is not received yet until the next day. That is January 1, 2020. So different from previous record where you record cash here because it is accrued only. So you record interest receivable here as much as 4,000, and some debt investment added back 645, and interest revenue of 4,645. So here, let's say there is no other cash transaction from July 1. At July 1, you receive 4,000 euro. And then again, you will receive some 4,000 on January 1. But since it is December 31, you do not record it yet until January 1. You do not record this number until January 1. So you need to wait for the other day just to record this receivable. So here on December 31, you record 4,000 as interest receivable, And then on January 1, after you close the book, the receivable will be deducted or credited as much as 4,000, and cash will be recorded here. So at December 31, January 1, the cash will be 4,000, will be recorded as 4,000, and interest receivable will be recorded as much as 4,000. Here is the T account to control it, and this is the T account to control that. So you can see the accounting of this interest between December 31 and January 1. Okay. This is how we report it in our statement of financial position and on our income statement. You see here that the company, the Robinson, has accrued it as much as 4,645, even though they have not received it yet. Some 4,000 are in the form of receivable. Okay. Some 645 are in the form of debt investment. So some 645. You can look at the previous slide to understand it if you want to study it. Okay, let's say, and then let's say the Robinson sells its investment on November 1, 2022 at the price or index of 99,334. So it means 99%, 99.75% plus accrued interest. It means that some interest will be added into the price of the investment. So Robinson will record it as this one. Let's see here. This is July 1. The last day where the company, where Robinson received the interest, and it will receive the interest again, let's say here on January 1 on 2022. But in November, so July, August, September, October, and November. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 months of interest that should have been accrued to Robinson. So this since this is I repeat it again, since this is the last day of the interest payment, and this will be the next payment. So during the 4 months from July, August, September, and October, some interest has been accrued sebagai pendapatan bunga itu sudah bisa diakui karena sudah terbentuk. Tinggal tersisa 2 bulan yang belum diterima, that has been not been accrued yet. So if here on November 1, the Robinson sell the bond or the investment, so it will record some interest revenue as much as 522, since this is one should be the amortization. So that investment added to the debit of the book as much as 522, and some revenue is accrued 522 is accrued to their interest revenue. This is the computation of gain from selling the bond. You can see here, this is the selling price, 99,750. That is why it is recorded as 99 3/4. Is it? 99, 99, 3/4. It means that 99.75% of 100,000, right? So the selling price of the bond is 99,750. Okay, and we must deduct with book value of the bonds as of ya, sesuai dengan nilai pada tanggal November 1, 2021. So here we have amortized cost at July 1, 2021. So look at here, we have 95. So this is the 95 671. 695 671 is the amortized cost until July 1, 2021. And then we add some discount that must be amortized from July 1 to November 1, as much as 522. So the book value is 96,193. So the gain bukan laba, but the gain keuntungan, untung from the sale of the bond as much as 3,557. So the company received cash as much as 90 the price of the bond plus some cash from the interest revenue that the company will receive from the bond until it is mature, until it is been sold to the other buyer. That investment as much as 193 is added accredited. Here, if you can consult your T account, if you use it, here from January 1, 2019 until November 1, November 2020, the debt investment has been already has value of 96,193 euro. So this one that must be credited at the November 1. Okay, so this is the number actually, and then you have the gain from the sale here of 3,557. So the cash that the company that Robinson received is 100,417. So this is the end of the first video. I hope that it will help you to understand the chapter. Sorry for some interruption during our first video. The second video will be followed. Okay. Okay, see you then.